Today I want to share a movement practice about the Yin and the Yang stepping vessels or Qiao vessels of Chinese medicine. I have already made a movement video which is essentially about the stepping, about standing and moving and walking. Now I'm going to do a little bit of that here today, but I want to emphasize how you can work with the stepping vessels when you're not standing and stepping, and how they connect with your heels and your feet, and in fact how they evolved. So you're going to be starting with a short journey back into being a baby and feeling how the stepping vessels were before you were able to stand upright. So before we do this journey, I want you to just connect with the mudra that I have for the stepping vessels. Now the mudra uses the same fingers that were used for the governing and conception vessel, because like the governing and conception vessel, they regulate the yin and the yang. And the stepping, their regulating points are actually in the ankle, the heel, so you can't use them for the mudra, but the bladder point in the foot relates to the little finger. So we're going to use the little finger and the paired point, small intestine 3, and then the thumb. And we're going to put them, but this was the mudra for the conception and governing vessel. Now for the stepping vessels, we're going to connect with the center of the palm of our hand, which in the feet reflects the kidneys, and it's a connection to earth. And this is a bit the energy of the stepping vessels. We connect to earth and then there's something light. And with this mudra, we can place it on our knees and have it coming down to earth to connect with our ankles. Or we could actually place it on our heart or our pelvis. But I often like to have it on my knees to connect with the earth. Just pause for a moment and connect with your breathing. And say, I am fully present in each moment. With your eyes closed, I'm fully present in each moment. And then we can open our eyes and feel the difference. I'm fully present in each moment. I am able to adapt in each moment so I can act appropriately in each situation. So the stepping vessels, when we're in the womb and we're attached to our umbilical cord, they are active because we have a reflex called the stepping reflex, and it's not as coordinated as I'm doing now, but either lying on your side, the babies a lot of the time at the end of their time in the womb are more on one side, so you could try doing this on one side. Feel your feet close to your navel. In fact, babies are very flexible, so you might even be able to imagine that you're playing with your umbilical cord and your feet are really close in to your pelvis. I need to hold my feet to get them that close in. But babies also do play with their hands and their feet in the womb. So just feel these stepping vessels, and they're moving in water. So it's nice watery flowing movements, feeling the world around you, which is the water, and then you might push against the womb of your mother. So you feel you can't just go endlessly into the water. You're pushing against some resistance. So you get a stimulation of your ankles already in the womb. Your arms are more playing with your mouth, but they might play with your feet. But focus more on your pelvis and your feet and this movement into the water. If you get tired, lie on your back and feel this movement. In fact, it's good to take a moment to just connect with your breath. around your navel, breathing out and breathing in. And then feel that breath slowly spreading out like water, your legs in water, down to your knees and down to your ankles, and reaching out into the outside world, touching the womb of your mother. And then we're born, and if we're born with our head first, we get an activation of our midline, and then right at the end we get a little push with our feet. So if we're born vaginally, we get an activation of the stepping vessels at birth, and then after birth we still take our time to slowly uncurl from the fetal position. So we're still very much curled up like this for the first few weeks of our life. This is in fact a bit more the yin when we're drawn in, but the yang slowly awakens as we emerge from the yin space of the womb. So feel that now there's space all around you as you do these movements. There's not the womb, and there's a whole big space around you, which is why babies like to be swaddled and held close to their mums. And they still have this memory of the fluid nature of their limbs, the memory of being in water. And then bit by bit, if you're on your back, if you've been on your side, we'll just explore how if we get stronger, we might go onto our front. And so you come onto your front. And babies are often newborn in the child's pose of yoga, still curled in. So the feet are close to our pelvis. And maybe bring your hands close to your heart, curled up. And then gradually starting to open out arms, reaching into the world outside and stretching into the feet. And feel the heels now maybe tapping on the ground, maybe coming into your pelvis. Just a little bit of movement back and forth to feel the movement from your pelvis coming out into your heels, tapping your heels, maybe wiggling them up and down, and just wiggling a bit from side to side. And then we do some movements for all fours, but that's more strengthening the midline. So I'm going to come from this position more into sitting. So babies gradually learn to come to sitting. And this is actually a really good position for strengthening our abdomen and our pelvic floor. Babies are much more flexible than us, so we can't completely repeat the movements. But just sit on your tailbone and feel everything organised around your centre, because still the movement at this stage of our development is still coming from the centre. Obviously, if you feel uncomfortable, you can come forward to resting. But try to keep this position for as long as you can. And really feel like you're exploring from the centre, reaching out with your feet. Reach from the centre out, moving out your awareness from your centre to your heels and wiggling your feet. And of course, you're going to be doing the same with your arms. And there are points of the stepping vessels in your arms. So just move your shoulders a bit, but feel everything from the centre and this movement wiggling out. You could even try just pushing your feet, but you might be getting a bit tired now because babies have quite strong abdomens. And then you might want to come into this position with the soles of your feet together. But again, be a bit like a baby exploring Babies get quite excited when they can feel their feet, and they tap both feet together. So tap, tap, tap your feet, and you'll feel that brings you back to your midline, conception and governing vessel. You can bring your ankles together, ankles and heels, quite important for babies to develop strength here. So tap, tap, tap. It's really working. And then, but at some point, they do get that coordination and they can sit. And then they quite enjoy sitting like this. And it will do a little bit of rocking, just to feel maybe a bit more this yin. Babies are actually quite yang, constantly moving and exploring. But they do need their rest, and they have lots of yin rest. So we'll go into a bit more of a yin phase, just rocking from side to side, closing your eyes, holding your toes or holding your ankles, but your heels are together. And you feel that joining of your feet, which enables you to connect back to your governing and conception vessel, your central nervous system, from your peripheral nervous system. That's a lot the energy of the vessels, the stepping vessels, and you're feeling that connection with your pelvis as well. You may even want to just gently rock forward for a moment, go into even more of a resting protection position. And then if that first movement felt good, you can go back to that movement and maybe feel as babies develop, they start to bring opposite hand. Well, actually first they find the center movement, to do that first, and then they take the same side. This is how we develop, and then eventually they cross and hold opposite sides. So feel what that does to your brain. Firstly connecting with the center, then same side. I have a left and a right, and then I can cross. That does something a bit different with our brain. If that's too much for you to do, just do one leg at a time. So use one to rest, like a little baby, opening up, feeling that leg on one side, and then opening up with joy, maybe really holding your ankle and opening up and exploring the space around you. From your center, this is what babies are doing. Maybe turning your head, engaging your neck, looking around. Be playful. Also, babies sometimes like to move, so just move forwards, move backwards. Maybe move a bit from side to side, using your hands a bit or using your pelvis. But also, babies develop themselves. Often you see little children sitting like this. They have a lot more flexibility in their legs and ankles than we do. But if you're able to sit on the floor and it's fine for your knees, maybe that's enough. But if you want to practice being a bit more like a child and stimulating your ankles, then just do a little bit of moving and adapting. Babies, when they move, very excited, alert, have your eyes bright, open, maybe move a little bit from one side to the other. And that's the sitting movements. And from sitting, we can move into the squatting. So imagine you're like a baby moving into squatting for the first time. And this is a really good position for strengthening your ankles and your heels. So just rocking forwards and backwards. Obviously babies might be doing more other movements in between, but just rocking forwards and backwards. And feeling this is a different aspect of our spine. This is we're beginning to be more in the upright position. This is really preparing us for the stepping, for the standing posture. So feel this squatting, and then maybe moving into the squatting. If you can get your heels down, great. If not, just be up, have your heels up. That's already for us as adults. If we can't get our heels down, it shows there's a slight blockage in the stepping vessel. So it can be good to practice by putting cushions and gradually lengthening the back of your heel. But for now, just do a little bit of squatting, rocking, moving. And then little babies also sometimes do a little bit of this. And then imagine yourself gradually going up to standing. And so from squatting, the baby eventually will find their way up to the standing position. So feel how that is. Imagine you're standing for the first time and you can look around you. Obviously a young baby isn't as stable as I am now. In fact, maybe just feel a little bit of wobble and ooh, how am I going to stand? And I might fall back down, and just really feel like you're standing for the first time and how that gives you a different perspective on the world. And you're starting to move your arms in a different way. You're not having to push against things like when you were lying or sitting. So your arms are now free and you can walk. And as we walk, of course, one leg is more yang in the space and one leg is supporting. And then we change from the yin to the yang. We can also speed up. You might want to be much faster. You might feel, yeah, I want to be more in the yang, running, moving your arms, letting your body move quickly, or maybe you really want to slow down. Maybe you just want to stand. But also, babies learn to change direction, to move with their hips and move into a different way. So you could now explore that movement. I'm not going to start walking around too much, but you change direction. So you change with your heels, you change with your hip, you change with your shoulders and your neck and your eyes. And so you can see how this moves into changing direction in life. And this is essentially our human nature of being able to stand, to take our place, to walk forwards or backwards, and to turn around and view the world from a different sense. So just explore the walking and the standing aspect of these vessels. Maybe feeling the yin, if you lift one leg and you close your eyes, that constant adaptation, constant movement of muscles. You can really feel the muscles, the adjustment, as you have to balance, and you might fall over like a young child. You balance, and that's what we're learning to do with our stepping vessels. So after all these movements, coming back to sitting with your mudra, wherever you want to place it, and say, I am fully present in each moment, either with your eyes closed or open, depending on what you feel, and let your body just absorb this movement practice for as long as you need. Thank you for sharing this practice with me today.